Two
Hello, welcome.
words, my friend. Two words. Mohamed Salah.
Yeah. Well, at least he's back in the squad. I reckon for fingers crossed, all being well.
What do you think's happened there then?
And they've had the chat, and obviously he's had that nice little chat with Jordan Henderson as well, which is interesting.
What was that about? Tell me. They met in London, didn't they, or something?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like, old mates chatting and just discussing what to do. Because obviously Henderson left under it, pretty much forced his way out
Yeah,
in the end. Well, not really forced his way out, as in like he was upset that he wasn't going to be playing. And
yeah.
Klopp just didn't want to deal, regularly, and Klopp didn't want to deal with it. And they've had two of them had minor fault. It wasn't a proper, like, full on blown out like what we've seen here with Mo Salah, but he was very much, I don't want to be here then if I don't want to, well, I'm not going to play. So he ended
So
up
just give me
leaving, but he's now looking like a lot better this season, isn't he? A lot more like his old self. Oh.
Hendo, right? Because he went via Ajax
Mm.
and then he went to Brentford, right?
Yeah, he went to Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
first, and then he went
Saudi
to
Arabia. Yeah, right.
Ajax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ajax and then. Yeah, yeah. Now it gives a bit of context on that because that's something I didn't um, know too much about. Did he leave under a cloud? Because did Klopp tell him he's not going to be playing much? And then he got, I'm not sure he had a hissy fit, whatever. He got upset about it and he said, I'm leaving because I thought Klopp had a very good relationship with him.
Yeah, they did. They were really good. They were fine. And then the offer came in from Saudi Arabia, it was. And
Right,
basically, he was told, Klopp said to him, we got this offer. We want to take it. You're not going to be playing much. We want to replace you, basically. And he
right.
was he was upset and left under a bit of a, like, wasn't happy about leaving sort of thing. Felt like he was being pushed out.
But Klopp didn't want him to leave. Or did Klopp want him to stay or did Klopp want him to leave? Or did
Klopp
he
wanted,
leave it up to Hendo?
they wanted the money to rebuild the side, remember? They wanted
Gotcha.
to free up the wages. It wasn't so much about the actual, the income, the pay, the sale price. It was more about the wages because we were really tight on FFP,
Yeah.
remember? And we
Because it
needed
was
to clear space.
Milner,
Fabinho,
Fabinho, Endo.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and we got that
So
big clear out, and that enabled us to go and spend on Sabozlai, uh, oh God, what's his name? McAllister, Gravenberg, and that.
yeah, right, gotcha. All right. So all right. He's back in the squad, but I can just imagine the conversations going on in the boardrooms, people blowing up Salah's phone, between his agent and FSG. It must have
Mm.
been kicking off this week.
Yeah, well, it's been busy, hasn't it? I mean, but yes, I mean, this is why he's posting up. People are saying he's, causing issues by posting up stuff on Instagram all of a sudden. What he was doing is saying he's just carrying on as normal. He's not gonna, you know what I mean? That's basically what that was about. It's just showing he's still training hard. He's still there if the club need him. He's not trying to cause trouble or anything. And I do agree, though. I think it was a mistake for him not to congratulate the team on the win against Inter. I think that was a mistake he made, and I think he'll regret that. When he thinks back on it later, he'll regret he didn't say "Well done, lads." You know what I mean, sort of thing. I know he would have done in the training ground afterwards, but it's not quite the same, is it, as the public thing, the public
I didn't
persona,
even
because
think
he's
about
taken a bashing. You know what I mean? He's taken a massive bashing in the press, and it
it.
would have
But you
just
know
helped
what?
that.
I didn't think about that, but initially my thoughts are when you just said that to me, maybe he didn't want to inflame a situation that's already raging fire. He didn't want to put any more flames onto the fire
Mm,
because he didn't want to make it about him.
good
That
point. Yeah.
that 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 victory was about the lads that gone out to Italy,
Mm,
grinding out a great result after the adversity of the last few weeks, months,
mm.
and maybe he wanted to make it about them rather than him.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It could be, but yeah.
And how has okay? So who's come up smelling of roses in this situation, and who's come up smelling of cow shit?
don't think anybody's come out smelling the roses, have they? The club hasn't handled it well, putting out all them hit
It's
pieces on him. That's not a good look. They should have been, totally different. They didn't need to say anything, and they shouldn't have been getting, their tame journalists to put out stuff on him. That was wrong. Just wasn't the right way
completely
to
wrong.
handle it.
Hatchet jobs they were. I mean, that was just pure vitriol. That was just
Mm,
wrong, plain wrong. I mean, this guy has given us, is it 8 years now, right?
must be, yeah.
Yeah, 8 years of just complete and utter loyalty. Never made. I've never heard of any problems he's given us, apart from I don't know if that's problems, but during his his contract negotiations, and everybody does that. You know, they're all this is
Yeah,
part of negotiation. He's
the
given
only issue,
4 interviews in 8 years, probably.
the only issue that Klopp ever had with him was when he wasn't playing and he wanted to
Yeah,
play. Which
yeah,
I want. You want a player doing that. You don't want a player who's happy to sit around and watch. You want a player to
yeah.
be banging on your door saying, "Come on, why aren't I playing?" That's what you want from your
My
players.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. My whole problem with this situation, yes, listen, I'm one of the biggest Salah fanboys on the planet, right? But my issue with this situation is, yes, Salah could have, when he looks back on it, on reflection, introspection, he probably thinks he could have done that interview differently or said a few different things, right?
Mm,
Everybody says things in the heat of the moment. Listen, some of the things he said were probably not unforgivable, but not the right things to say,
mm,
and hopefully he can make amends. But here's my point: this guy signed a new 2 year contract in the summer. He could have got, I mean, not life changing. He's already got life changing amount of money, right? I'm just saying he could have got a whole lot more money somewhere else. He wanted to stay. He committed to 2 years, and I'm sure he's been made promises that he'd play, right? And after a few dodgy games, you're allegedly concocting a move away from taking, looking at, listening to listening to offers for him.
mm.
I'd be pissed as well.
Yeah, because
I'd
he's
be
made it.
pissed.
He's made it clear he wanted to stay and he wants to stay at
Yeah,
Liverpool and he doesn't want to move. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're going to be annoyed. It's not what you want, is it? It's not what you want to find out, is that your club's trying to sell you when you don't want to go.
absolutely. And if
Mm,
if you are, just say let's call it how it is. He's not playing well at the moment. Maybe that's
mm,
due to tactics. Maybe that's due to the manager. Maybe that's due to form. Right? Whatever it is, he's not playing well. You don't. You take it till the end of the season, right? And you say to him, "Look, what do you want to do? Because there's offers for you, right?
mm.
We're listening to offers for you, and this is the situation." You don't concoct a transfer in January, midway through the season, right?
Not when he's done. Not when he's just done all given up more than twice the money, and plus that's not even counting signing bonuses and all the other things that they throw at that they would have thrown at him to go to Saudi Arabia. On
Yeah,
top of that, he could have pretty much named his price on really. I mean, they were at start offer that was more than double what we end up paying him. Plus,
right,
obviously, the
right.
signing bonus and all that. So, like, when he's not even negotiated with them, not even listened to the offer, just said, "No, thanks, I want to stay." Surely you've got to show a bit of loyalty back to him for now, at least for the season. You know what I mean? And do it properly. Do it so he can have a proper send off if you're going to get rid of him. If he's going to go, if he's not up to stuff, you say to you got to speak to him. That's the thing I don't get. His slot is just he doesn't interact with them properly. About stuff like that. He needs to, and I know that it never used to happen with people like Shankly and that, but it's a different era. Players are more, I mean, even
Sensitive.
back, well, even back then, you hear them, you talk to them about players that were ignored by Shankly and that. You talk to the old guys, and they're the same. It used to hurt them. The difference
Yeah,
was they didn't admit it. You know what I mean? It was just like they wouldn't admit that there was a problem back then because it was just not the done thing. You just didn't admit it. It doesn't mean it wasn't affecting you. It just meant you wouldn't admit it affected you. And that's the difference. Nowadays, people will admit that there's a problem, that they're
See,
upset.
I, I agree to an extent because listen, you've got man managers like
Mm,
Dalglish, Klopp, right? Bob Paisley, whatever. Or Ronnie Brown did the talking for him, but with the players. But then you get and they were successful. But then you've got other managers who aren't so talkative or demonstrative, like Rafa, who was still
mm.
successful. So
But only to a degree. When you
yeah,
look at someone like Ancelotti, who's very much a player's friend, you know what I mean, that works with the
yes, yeah.
players, he had a lot more success without being anywhere near as good a coach in actuality as
He
Rafa.
was a manager. He was
But
a manager.
but he was a better, but because the players would respond to him better, that made him a better coach. Wasn't technically as good a coach. He wasn't as good at coaching, but he could get more
Yeah,
out of the players. Similar to Klopp, he could get more out of the players than coach, than he could by coach by his
yeah,
personality and the way he brought the best out of them mentally and emotionally.
yeah. Man management was
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, it's like Mourinho as well. He's a
Mm.
perfect example. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So, so what's your opinion then? What do you think? I mean, sell him, stay?
Um, I see that's the problem. It depends on what's happened behind the scenes, but like what he said, he probably went too far is the problem. And you've got to say, I don't think you can see him there at the club past the end of the season, to be honest. Now, because of it.
I think it's the least we can do for him is
Mm,
give him to the end of the season, not just for not be, not just because of what he's done for not
mm,
just because he signed a new contract in the summer, because for what he's done for the last 8 years.
mm.
It would leave a massive bitter taste in the mouth if they just concocted a move for him in January.
Yeah.
That would disgust me, to be honest with you. And you know what? He's got enough credit in the bank from those last 8 years that even if he plays really badly till now to the end of the season, so be it.
Mm.
Because for what he's done for us the last 8 years, and he was an ever present, hardly ever injured. How many league games did he miss in 8 years?
That's very few, yeah.
Very few. And you've got to give concessions for people like that. This guy is a legend of the game. He's probably, obviously you've got the Ronaldo Messi bracket, but he's down what, 3, 4 rungs down from there? These are
Mm,
generational players.
mm. It's very close, I would say.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
thing
you've
is, when
got
you look at his numbers, they're incredible, especially when you consider the stats that, you're looking at are not a striker. The goals
yeah,
and assists he's getting are obscene amounts, more than Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold and that. More
yeah.
than just about. I mean, you look at his stats compared to say Saka, who's like seen as the like great talent at the moment. He absolutely destroys him on stats. His stats are incredible, and
Yeah.
yet he's never given the credit he deserves, in my opinion.
Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it is because, well, one, people like Saka get and Foden and that they get a softer, right?
English
They get
bias?
better because they, yes, that's what I was trying to think. Yeah, the English bias, and then there's obviously there is you can't ignore it. You've got to admit that there is a problem with Islamophobia. There is racism with some of it, not all of them. Some
But
people are just, but
Backer's black.
Saka, yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah, but
Saka, sorry.
yeah,
But
but
if there was a
there's
racism,
yeah, but a lot of them they have different you know what I mean? They like different thing. You know what I mean? It's like I don't,
different prejudices.
yes, different
Yeah.
prejudices. Yeah, not saying that like there'll be different ones. This because there's a lot of things that'll add up to it. I think he comes from he's African. He's Arab. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't like Arabs, but I don't know why, and I don't know what their reason is. But there's a in England in particular, there is like the older generation just had a thing about Arabs, don't trust Arabs and that. I remember hearing it said from people, my granddad's mates that were out in the desert, were stationed out in the desert during the war, things like that, so there is a
Okay, so
general.
if we're talking bias, then we've got to touch upon the Jamie Carragher
Mm. Do you not think a lot
lambasted.
of what he said was just jealousy? It's how it's. The more I look at it, the more it comes across as him just being jealous because everybody loves Salah and most Liverpool fans. For all he did, he was, he gave a lot to the club, but he wasn't a particularly good player, was he? He was. If he hadn't played in an era when we were shite, he wouldn't have
Yeah,
got. He'd have been lucky to get a game in most teams. Any of the great teams, he gets nowhere near. Not one of them. Doesn't get anywhere near. I mean, he's not going to replace Hansen, Lawrenson, Thompson,
yeah,
any of them, Van Dijk, any of them.
yeah. He probably wouldn't have got into the teams that we were competitors with in that on his era. He probably wouldn't have got into their defence. Not the Man United team, not the Chelsea team.
Certainly.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, why do you think? So you think it's jealousy?
A little,
His
yeah.
reasons.
That's why it was so vitriolic.
I want to. I want to say that I think that because he's on such a massive platform like CBS for the Champions League and Sky, that he needs to be relevant. He needs to be controversial for the likes and the clicks and the subscriptions. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, he just, and he doesn't want to show Liverpool bias, right? So he just sensationalizes stuff,
Mm.
and it's, and I think it just it came to a head the other day when he said he's a Chelsea reject and he was a flop. He was nothing before he came to Liverpool. That's really over the top because I don't see him say that about any other person, any other footballer. You know?
There is no need for it either. I mean, yeah, I mean, would he say that about Kevin De Bruyne? If Kevin De Bruyne had said anything.
Yeah, or Haaland or whoever it was. Yeah, I
No, I
mean,
mean, go and talk about Chelsea rejects, people who hadn't quite made,
oh, sorry, got you.
had
Yeah,
to
yeah,
leave Chelsea to get to get their break.
yeah,
He wouldn't have
yeah.
said that about De Bruyne.
I doubt it. Yeah, I hear what
He
you're
just
saying.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
and Salah's got to be in that same bracket. He's gone elsewhere, made himself into a player that Chelsea desperately wish that they'd managed to keep hold of now.
Well, if you rack up the numbers, Salah should be. If you compare the numbers, Salah's better than De Bruyne and Hazard, right?
Yeah, well, much
And
better.
you're right. And
It's not
you're
even a
right.
close
And go
comparison.
absolutely. And listen. And speaking on what you just said about him being a winger and getting those phenomenal numbers, look at the chances he's missed.
Mm.
Can you imagine if he just?
I was just going to say the one thing we should point out for all the talk of him being selfish, how many assists has he got? I mean, he was even when Mane was in the team, people would talk about Mane not being selfish and him being selfish. Yet he was always getting a lot more assists than Mane every single
And this
season.
is and this is during his greedy phase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And the last season, in my opinion, he ventured out from his greedy phase in the last season that Klopp was there. Or maybe the last season, or the season before. Somebody obviously had a word with him and said, "Look, you got to start passing, right? Even more, right?" So he did that. So phenomenal player. I mean, not even generational. I mean, he's one of the best footballers on the planet ever, historically. Just by the numbers. Maybe he's not so easy on the eye as, say, somebody like Zidane or Georgie Weah or whatever, but the numbers stack up.
speaking of generational, did you hear about Etu banned players going into banned a player from going into the Cameroon squad because he's close to breaking his record for goal
No
scoring?
way.
And they've named two squads, two different coaches, two different head coaches, and two different squads for the World Cup. Cameroon off
How?
because
Why?
they're an absolute shambles and nobody knows who the coach is. An absolute mess.
I'm gonna have to Google that. I don't believe it.
Oh,
You
yeah, no.
can't. What?
There's two
No,
coaches have named two different teams, and nobody knows it. There's a big argument raging over which one it is. Insane.
all right. Insane. You're right. So does Salah start? He doesn't start on Saturday tomorrow against Brighton. He's on the bench, right?
I'd start him. He's got to be. He's surely going to be raring to prove. If you're only bothered about the result and if you slot, you've got to be thinking he's going to want to prove me wrong. He's going to
He
be
can't be.
desperate to prove me wrong. So he's going to go hell for leather for 90 minutes to absolutely show that I shouldn't have left him out. And so
He's
I'd
not
put him
good.
in.
He's not going to be tired. That's for sure.
Exactly. Fresh as a daisy. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're doing it on merit, because we've just had a European game,
Mm.
right? He should be a starter.
Yeah, because some of
But
them
let's put,
got to rest, surely.
so this goes on to the next
Into yeah.
segue, the diamond, right? What formation, what tactics do we use tomorrow? Because the diamond was super successful, super boring on the eye.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, I was scrolling TikTok for about 85 minutes, but while watching the game, I mean, it's just mind numbing.
I was watching it and just thinking, oh God, I can't sit through this if this is what the season's going to turn into. I mean, yes, it makes
I mean,
Rafa
explain it.
Benitez look a
Explain it.
well. It
Explain
was
it.
it was just all about solidity, wasn't it? It was just on trying to keep a clean sheet, and that was all he was about. It was like the old days where you go away in Europe and you just sit and defend for 90 minutes and that's it. And then just hope to catch them on the break. That was pretty much all we did. And
Yeah, but Tristan,
I'm not being funny. I know people are going to say that Inter are a good team because they're doing well in the Serie A. Well, as Mourinho and that have recently pointed out, Serie A is not that good at the moment. And secondly, if you look at their results in Europe, they're not a particularly good team. So
I
I think we could have beaten them properly. Should have.
I want to know, and I ask this all the time. Nobody's giving me any answers. The first half of last season, we played pragmatic yet exhilarating football, right? We tailed off the second half of the season because I think he wanted to save some legs, and we were doing so well, and we'd won the league at a canter, and we were in Ibiza halfway through the season or whatever when we won it, right? But what I want to know is why have we stopped playing that football that won us this title and we played in the first half of last season? I don't understand. It's why have we just got to this? I don't know. This is super pragmatic football. I don't understand, and it's not even winning football.
Yeah, but
That's the irony,
yeah, that's the big problem. If it worked, there'd be no complaints, but it doesn't.
right?
The problem was like I said, people keep going on about he's obsessed with PSG trying to copy. He's not. He's got no interest in copying PSG at all. That's not what he was trying to do. He felt that PSG, the issue when we lost to PSG was down to our legs going. We just didn't have that extra little bit to make that final push to take the win. You know what I mean? That's how what he felt was wrong with it. We just lacked a little bit of energy because we did. I mean, we did. When you look back on it, we were at that point of the season, we were struggling. You know what I mean? The legs were going. You could see
I
a
don't
lot.
agree. I don't agree. The reason why we lost that we the legs were going. I agree. We just didn't have a deep enough squad last season
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
to
I'm not
counteract
saying
that.
I agree. What I'm saying is this is how the
Yeah.
club have looked at it. The fitness coaches, the manager, assistant coaches, they've all looked at it and gone, we were just tight, running out of energy, running out of legs at that point. Because I mean, there were signs of it, but for me, I would say the problem was we weren't training the players hard enough because we hadn't been from the start, and their fitness level was gradually dropping off from the level. The Klopp team was incredibly fit; they were fitter than everybody else, and every team we faced, they were fitter than, and that was one of the main things that helped us win because we could just keep overrunning them for 90 minutes, we could just keep running and just wear them down. Under Slot, that went. You know what I mean? Gradually over the course of the season, that fitness level dipped. And I think that's why we've seen the performances tail off. I don't think it was so much about him yes, he did try and change it as well, but I think the problem was the fitness level isn't there anymore to play a more exciting style of football. We just haven't got the basic stamina to run for the 90
Conditioning, the
minutes. So yeah,
condition.
the
Yeah,
conditioning. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, it just
I'm
isn't
in your
there.
head, man. I'm in your
Yeah,
head.
well, there's plenty of space in there.
I'm getting out quickly. Believe me, it's
You
dark
get
in
stuck in
there.
the cobwebs. Yeah. But yeah, and I just think that that's the problem we're seeing now is the lack of fitness. That's why, we started off the season. I think somebody else pointed out on the Liverpool site, and I think they were spot on when they said at the beginning of the season we could pull it out the bag in the first few games because everybody's fitness was low. They'd all come back. Everybody had come back from the
Yeah.
pre-season, when season start, and
Same
everyone had come back
conditioning. Yeah.
undercooked. You know what I mean? So we were seeing a similar level, but because they're training harder and getting their fitness levels up,
Point. Yeah.
yeah, they're now much higher fitness levels. So we've just not got that extra burst of energy when we need it anymore. And I think that's
If
a really good point.
I agree, but also going back to last season, if we'd have bought two or three players in the first season, last season, Klopp's first season, I think we'd have got over the line in the Champions League probably because we were playing the same. I know he likes to play, and he did at Feyenoord as well. He likes to play the same 12, 13, 14 players
Mm.
every time. But I think with the bought, and for whatever reason, he didn't play Chiesa. Well, to be fair, Chiesa wasn't fit. He was
Yeah, no, he
struggling with
wasn't.
fitness last season. So, um, and number two, I wish we played like PSG.
Mm. Yeah, that'd be
They're a
brilliant.
great watch.
Yeah,
They're a great watch.
but I'd,
How we
I'd
doing on time?
Yeah, right. I was just thinking, why didn't we, what we needed from me, what I took from the season was a lack of bite in midfield and someone to replace and rotate with Gravenberg or play alongside him at times when we needed that extra bit of steel in midfield. I mean, the Endo type character, but obviously, I mean, Endo
Not
was
Endo.
much as I love Endo. He was a stopgap. He was a stopgap signing. He was brilliant in his first season. I know, and I think he deserves to get more time, but Slot just does not want to play that type of midfielder. He didn't want to buy one either. When it was clear that's what we're missing, he would rather have McAllister in there fannying about and throwing himself to the floor doing nothing for 90 minutes than have someone in there winning the ball back. He doesn't seem to understand this, the fact that you still need to get it back at times.
Yeah. He likes the progressive midfielders who can play.
Yeah.
Um, I think that talk to me about the formation tomorrow because obviously that's the most important game of the season now
Yeah, Brighton.
for
I mean,
for
I
many reasons.
I can't see how we can get away with a diamond against them. The width. I mean, the lack of it. I think our attacking was hopeless against Inter. Must be said, it was very poor. We didn't really do much, did we? You know what I mean? It wasn't. It was a very 10 minutes. Yeah, it was a very lifeless game, limp game. From both teams.
But we've lacked width since we when's the last well, since Diaz left. We play with two inverted wingers.
Yeah, but we don't. If you watch, they're starting out really wide, so the
Yeah, but then they
fullbacks
come
always having.
inside.
Yeah, but they're doing that after the fullbacks have underlapped, so there's no
Yeah,
space for them to operate. But what are they meant to do? Because there's no option to pass it back because there's no option to go outside them or overlapping them or anything. So they're kind of stuck in their option is cut inside. But then, then you could play a first time ball. Kirkez is always offering for Gakpo, but he never sees it. But Salah's not had that at all because Bradley always runs straight into the middle. Obviously, Frimpong's been injured, and Gomez doesn't really get forward enough early enough, really. Much
so
as I
this
like
is
him.
so this plays hand in glove to we've stopped being intent. The intensity stopped, so the tactics have changed. So the results are changing, basically.
Mm. We need to. I mean, if you've got wingers, they should surely be inside. If you're going to have somebody doing the overlapping, going
The
wide and getting a
fullbacks, right?
touchline. You
Kirk,
want the
yeah,
fullbacks out wide because they're not as
yeah.
good when you get close to the goal. They're not as likely to score. So you put
But why is he?
the wide player. You put Salah and Gakpo or whoever's playing in the wide position. You want them cutting inside, and I think that's the one difference the last couple of games has shown. When Szoboszlai's played there on the right, when Salah was, I think that was the main difference is they played it differently with Szoboszlai. They let him play more centrally. They let him drift inside, and the fullback was going on the outside of him more. And I think that is the main difference, and that's why we look better. Not because Salah wasn't there, but because the slot has Szoboszlai playing it a different way. If we let
Right.
Salah play the same way, could move him inside and let the fullback go outside him, I think we'd have seen better results already. I don't understand his obsession with getting Salah and Gakpo to start out so far wide. Get them
Right.
in.
So Salah could miss up to 8 games conceivably.
Hmm.
Frimpong's going to be back. So
Oh.
how's the formation going to differ or happen when Frimpong comes back? Because then you've got Kirkes on the left and Frimpong on the right.
I don't think he'll play Frimpong now. I think if he plays, I think he'll either play as a substitute for Bradley, for just like the end of games, or he'll play further up.
Yeah, but he's more of a winger rather than an inverted winger,
Well,
right? So
he's
so give
out
us
and out.
some kind of yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
what,
He'll get the ball if he's allowed to. He'll get the ball and put it in the box, which is what we need. But he'll put it in early, which is what I wish I saw more of in the game these days. Just
yeah, yeah.
get
I
it into
mean,
good position and whip it in. David Beckham made his career out of it, and it was because
the
it was
game
so effective.
because it was early, yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
the defense didn't have time to
adjust.
position
Yeah,
himself.
and he was a good crosser, so he was putting it in a dangerous area every time. So
Yeah,
helps.
I felt Frimpong had a really good game. The game he got injured before he got injured this time,
Hmm.
he took players on. He got
Yeah,
ball cross balls in. He was looking really lively, and I had high hopes for him. And unfortunately, he got injured again. Now let's talk about the Alonso situation and what do you feel about that? Or the or the how long do you think Slot will be? How long do you think Slot's got? Do you think he'll get to the end of the season? Do you think if Alonso gets fired at Madrid, we take him in the summer? What's your feelings?
I still think they're back in slot at the moment, and it just depends on results. If results, because I think they're looking at it and seeing signs of an upturn, which obviously we've stopped losing, so that's a sign. That is a sign of an upturn and progress being made.
Yeah.
Draws are obviously better than defeats, but I still don't think it's good enough for us. Really, we should with that team and the amount of money spent, you've got to expect more. But I think they'll carry on backing him. From what I've been told, I mean, it's Karen might know better than me. I don't know. I'm a bit out. So, but as far as I'm aware, Hughes is still backing him, and he'll have a bit. He's still got a bit more rope to play with before they'll say, "Nah, come on, that's it. Now you've had enough." But if results don't carry on, if it doesn't carry on an upward trajectory, you know what I mean. They don't pick up and it start picking up some wins. But like he's just won at Inter, so he's not going to go now. I don't think
Is getting into the top four good enough to keep his job?
Again, it'll really depend on how we're doing. And if it's
Right.
looking like we're on the upward curve when we go into the end of the season, like if we come into it and we're absolutely, we just stagger home and we look terrible, but everybody else has just had a disaster and we fluked into it, then I think no. But if it's like, we're up there and we're pushing higher, we're pushing for a better position. You know what I mean? We're getting teams that the performances have improved and you can see progress being made. Then I think it'll be fine. Top four will be enough after last season.
January transfers. What's going on?
Trying to sign Semenyo, as you know, and still trying to get Guay to come and another centre back. Trying to get two centre backs basically.
Wow. Two in the summer, two in January, two
Trying.
centre back.
Yeah, it's not that easy though, is it? But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they might even end up having to wait for Guay to the summer and take two others
Right,
now, because obviously we're seeing Konate's gone anyway, so
right, yeah.
we're gonna need him
Figuratively and
replaced.
literally, yeah,
Yeah, and we needed one more anyway, even if Konate stays, and
yeah,
he's not going to be staying, is he? I wouldn't have. I hope. So that'll be two we
yeah.
need now, and long-term replacement for Van Dijk as well.
To
So
be honest, I'd be in favour of selling Canate in January, not because I think he's done. I think he's a great player on his day, but I think, like you said, in his head, he's gone, and I think he's going to be more a liability than he is going to be a profit for us. Not a profit, I mean positive for us. So I think I'd even think about selling him in January and getting some money for him. He
if we
can't.
could
Nobody can
replace
do
him,
worse.
if we could replace
Yeah,
him, definitely
yeah,
get rid of him. I'd have been happy to get rid of him in the summer, you know that. So
yeah. No, I know your thoughts about him. Okay, let's talk about one last thing I want to touch upon. Um, Gakpo wasn't playing, and we won. That's all I'm
So,
saying.
you're gonna say, you're gonna scapegoat Gakpo and throw him under the bus now, not Salah.
I'd never scapegoat Salah. Never.
No, but
Listen,
I'm saying that's what he was accusing the club of doing, is blaming him for the
yeah,
defeats.
yeah,
Yes, now
yeah.
you're saying
Throwing him under
it's
the
all
bus.
Gakpo.
I'll,
Yeah, it's all Gakpo.
I'll
Throw
throw
him under the
I'll
bus.
throw
Yeah,
Gakpo under
and
any bus.
reverse. Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
reverse it back
but
over him.
but the Salah situation, I'm not being a fanboy. The tactics changed and his form dipped.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah,
That's my
I agree.
right. And one last thing before you go, Tristan, I want to talk about the Isaac situation. What's going there? How does a world class player become a redundant player overnight? I don't get it. Is it the tactics? Is his fitness? Is his confidence? What's going on there?
Fitness and mental. But with him, his fitness is an issue anyway. We know he had to be managed at Newcastle, so getting him up to speed is very difficult, because you can't just send him out to run because his hamstrings will go. Or
Why
you know what I
pay
mean?
$25 billion pounds for him then?
Because he's the best at what he does. It's goal scoring, and when you got a goal scorer, they're quite expensive, aren't they? So
Right.
we're down to the last few seconds, mate.
All right, mate. I think
So
that's it.
yep.
We good?
Yeah,
I think that's
LA then.
LA, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And speak to
Oh,
you soon. And thank you for anybody that's actually watched this far, which is unlikely to be anybody.
absolutely no
Yeah.
one. Right.
Yeah.